قاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما مولانا بقية الله في الأرضين. Ramadan night, it's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or we can say it's a special blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all us human beings. And if He would not guide us, definitely our lives would go astray. And this is not the goal, because Allah says, I have created you and I'm going to help you to come to Jannah, the heaven. But at the end, it's upon us how we want to deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to keep our words with Allah. We want to keep our relationship with Allah or not. The source of knowledge, the source of values in Islam is only one book, and that is Quran. And it is said, Quran and the reciting of Quran, Qira'at al-Quran, is the main thing in this beautiful month. And definitely reciting Quran without understanding it, we're not going to achieve our goal. So we have to understand Quran, and somehow we have to establish a very good relationship in this month or in these beautiful nights. There's a beautiful hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam, where he says, reciting of Quran has three things in it. Number one is qira'ah, relationship with Quran. It has 3 points in it, and that is first qira'ah, we have to read Quran, and then ta'ammul, we have to think deeply in Quran, and then amal, this is a deed, and we have to maintain our deeds according to Quranic teachings. Otherwise, if we have book in our home Quran, and we don't read this book, we just keep it in a corner, we are not going to achieve our goal. In the time of Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt, there were a group of people, they used to recite Quran in the bunch of ayat. They used to put 5 or 10 ayat in the groups, and they used to memorize it. A person came to Imam Baqir and asked, "Oh Imam, should we follow the reciting of Quran in this way? We should make a group of ayat, 5 ayat, 6 ayat, 10 ayat, Ushr or Khamsa, and then we have to recite this." The Imam said, no, there's no benefit in it. If someone is reciting his Quran, he shouldn't think about the end of Quran. When I'm going to finish this surah, when I'm going to finish this page, when I'm going to finish this juz, this part of Quran. No, this is not the goal. Imam says, recite 1 ayah, 2 ayah, 5, 10, 15, whatever you want. If you want to recite 100 ayat, go ahead. Recite 100 ayat. But the goal is try to comprehend Quran. If you're not comprehending, if you're not understanding what is Quran saying to us, then there's no use of this kind of reading. So Quran has certain levels. And according to Imam Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam, where he says, people, they recite good Quran, how they read, or how they should read, يَتَلُونَ آيَاتِهِ وَيَتَفَقَّهُونَ فِيهِ. First, we have to recite this Quran, and then we have to tafaqquh, means when we go deeply into the meanings of words. This is tafaqquh. We want to understand what is the root meaning of this word, what is the deep meaning of this word, what is the message of this sentence, what is the message of this surah. This is tafaqquh. يَتَلُونَ آيَاتِهِ. Mu'mineen, they recite Quran very nice. They read Quran carefully and comprehending and understanding it. And وَيَتَفَقَّهُونَ فِيهِ, and they try to understand deeply what is the meaning of Quran, what is the message in Quran, what is the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَعْمَلُونَ بِأَحْكَامِهِ. And then when we learn something from Quran, the Quranic recommendations, then we act according to Quranic recommendations. Then we act according to Quran. then we manage our deed with the Quranic values, and this is the goal. يَعْمَلُونَ بِأَحْكَامِهِ Mu'mineen and the people of Quran, they act according to Quranic values.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
يَرْجُونَ وَعْدَهُ
الرحمن
وَيَخَافُونَ وَعِيدَهُ Quran has a lot of good news for us, and Quran has a lot of bad news for us. Good news for those they are somehow they associate themselves to Quran. They follow Quran. Because very simply, I always say, Allah has given to us this 50, 60, 70, 80 years we are going to live in this world, in this dunya. At the end of 50, 60, 70 years, we have to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we deserve to be in heaven. This is the point. خدا به ما یه 60 70 80 سال عمر داده و در این 60 70 80 سال باید یه جوری ثابت کنیم برای خدا که ما عرضه بودن در بهشت رو داریم، ما لیاقت بودن در بهشت رو داریم. حالا هر کاری میخوای بکنی بکن. Very simple and easy. In this 70 80 years we have to prove this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala somehow. We have to prove it. There's a beautiful hadith from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. Someone asked, we have questions sometime in Quran. A person is living in this planet for 60, 70, 80 years, right? And after 60 years, 70 years, half of this life you have been sleeping. And the next half is remaining. In that next remaining half of that you have been working and doing work. So very little time you lived for yourself. So how many times we do good deeds and how many times we do mistakes and sin? Why a person has to live in heaven forever while he's been doing good deeds in this life? Maybe 10 years, 20 years, the max. And why a person has to live in heaven, in hell forever while he's been doing sin in this life? Maybe 10, 15, 20 years. And this is not according to justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I have made mistake for a day, why have to be punished for entire year? If I have been making mistakes few years, now why have to be forever in heaven and why have to be forever in hell? The answer is in this beautiful hadith. Imam Sadiq says, there are a group of people in this world. There are a group of people. When you see them, you see they have beard, they pray, they fast, they do hajj, they do khums zakat. But at the bottom of their heart, their decision is, if they would live on this planet for millions of years, the decision is going to be for them forever. They want to be the main thing, and their decision has to be the main. They are not people of God. And there are people living on this planet, in the bottom of their heart, they say, oh Allah, if you would give us billions of years of life, the decision is going to be yours, and I am going to be your servant. At the end, word is your word. Decision is your decision. Final statement is your final statement. What you decide for me, not me. While you see from them maybe less deeds, but they deserve to be in Jannah, because with the bottom of their heart they have admitted that, oh Allah, final decision is yours. Final word is yours. What you want at the end, I'm going to be that one. But there are people that say, no, at the end, what I want to be in this world. Well, apparently we don't see any differences. Apparently we don't see any difference. Everybody looks like same. But who knows what's going on into the bottom of heart? And that is the important thing. So in this 50, 60, 70 or in this life, somehow we have to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, I deserve to be in Jannah. And then He's going to take us to Jannah. Well, the road is already decided. The road map is already told to us, already been told to us. And that is the map of Quran. We have to go with the road map of Quran. And we have to go with the road map of Sunnat Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Very simple and easy. Otherwise, there's no other way. Sometimes people want to go shortcuts. No, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. Every shortcut we are going to take, that is going to take us longer than Sirat al-Mustaqim, which is very clear and simple thing. And that is first wajibat and staying away from muharramat, and then mustahabat and makruhat. And then if we are smart, we are going to turn all of our mubah deed. Mubah deed means those deeds are not wajib and not haram and not mustahab and not makruh. There's no direction in those deeds. If we are smart, we can turn our common deeds into mustahabat, and we can make credits out of those deeds. That is another important point. Well, Imam Baqir is saying in this beautiful hadith, يَعْلَمُونَ بِأَحْكَامِهِ Mu'minin and people of Quran, they go and recite Quran and they try to understand, hunt the ahkam of Quran. What is good for them, what is wajib for them, what is haram for them. And then يَرْجُونَ وَعَدَهُ وَيَخَافُونَ وَعِيدَهُ. And they hope, they have a positive hope in the promises of Quran. When they recite promise of Quran, they say, Ya Rabbana sallamna wa amanna. I accept that and I'm coming towards you. Labbaik Allahumma laka labbaik. We have to say words that we are listening and understanding Quran, and we are being ready to come towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And wa yakhafuna wa'ida. And when we recite the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the other side, in the side of adhab, punishments, we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgiveness. We say, oh Allah, please forgive us if we have made mistake, if we have made mistake. That has happened from us. We are not going to make those mistakes again. يَعْتَبِرُونَ بِقِصَصِهِ. Quran has a lot of qisas, stories in it, stories of Anbiya and Awliya. When we recite those stories, we have to learn our lesson. يَعْتَبِرُونَ means we should learn our lesson. There are few kinds of people in the world. Some people, they see others doing mistakes and they don't learn until they do mistake themselves. Then they learn. There are a group of people when they do make mistakes, they themselves make mistakes, they don't care. They stand up again and they walk and they move forward again, and they keep doing mistakes and they're falling down. But the smart people are always who, when they see others making mistakes, they do not do mistake. They say, oh, this brother, this sister, he or she made mistake and did the same thing. I'm not going to do that thing again. This is enough for me. There are a group of people, they're not very smart, they're not very low IQ people. They're in between. When they make mistake, they stand up, they say, no, I'm not going to make this mistake again. So with one experience, they learn. So mu'min has to be very clever. We should not do mistakes. We should not keep doing mistake. That is the biggest mistake. Again, when we see, when we learn, when we listen the stories of Quran and lessons of Quran, we should learn our lesson from Quran directly. Oh, this has happened to this Nabi, this has happened to this wali, this has happened to this Imam, this has happened to this, in this situation, this case, to this people, and then we learn from that story our lesson. I'm saying we are not going to do that mistake. So we have to learn. يَعْتَبِرُونَ بِقِصَصِهِ. We have to learn our lessons from the stories of Quran. And then Imam Bakr says, وَيَأْتَمِرُونَ بِأَوَامِرِهِ وَيَنْتَهُونَ بِنَوَاهِهِ. And then when we listen the orders of Quran, we admit it, we accept it. This is the order of Quran. And when we listen about the nawahi, the Quran says, don't do this. Don't stop yourself from doing this. So we have to control ourselves, and we have to stop ourselves committing those actions. Quran saying, stop, do not do that. We have to learn from Quran. And then Imam Baqir is saying, وَمَا هُوَ وَاللَّهِ حِفْظُ آيَاتِهِ وَدَرْسُ حُرُوفِهِ وَتَلَاوَةُ السُّوَرِهِ وَدَرْسُ أَعْشَارِهِ وَأَخْمَاسِهِ. Reciting Quran is not only the reciting the words. When we recite only the wordings of Quran, this is not the goal. وَمَا هُوَ وَاللَّهِ حِفْظُ آيَاتِهِ. Imam Baqir is saying, Wallah, the goal is not only reading the words of Quran and the memorizing Quran and learning the letters of Quran and just tilawat of Quran. No, this is not the goal. If we recite 100 ayat, at least we have to recite beside that 2 ayah, 1 ayah, 3 ayah, 5 ayah, to understand what did we recite today. What was the Quranic message today for me? Well, if you understand one ayah meaning of 1 ayah, 2 ayah, 3, 5 ayat, and the rest you just go for the words. Okay, no problem. At least you did something. But besides reciting the words, we have to hunt the meaning of Quran, meaning of ayat. Imam says, "Ma huwa wallahi hifdhu ayatih wa durusu hurfih." Not memorizing is not the goal. Reciting the words of Quran is not the goal. Talawatu surahi. Reciting the surah of Quran, chapters of Quran is not the goal. And reciting the 5 groups of ayat or 10 groups of ayat is not the goal. حفظوا حروفه وأضاءوا حدوده. These people, they just recite Quran, they just memorize Quran, and they break the boundaries of Quran. This is not the goal. We should not cross the boundaries of Quran. How we are going to be able to not cross the boundaries of Quran when we really understand Quran, what Quran is talking to us. When we really comprehend the meaning of Quran, then it is possible. وَإِنَّمَا هُوَ تَدَبَّرُ آيَاتِهِ وَالْعَمَلُ بِأَحْكَامِهِ. This is going to be possible when we think deeply into the each and single ayat of Quran, and when we are going to act according to Quran. This is the month of Quran. There is no doubt. Month of Ramadan is one of the most beautiful months, days and nights and times and hours. And the best thing we can do, among the ulama, it is very famous. If you go Qom or Najaf sometime and you see what scholars doing in the night of Laylatul Qadr, right? Laylatul Qadr, what we are doing, we do salat, we do Quran, we take Quran on our head, right? We're doing lots of amal. But if you go into among the scholars, these nights, these scholars, they sit down and they study all night. They do muta'ala. They read. Because ilm and knowledge is the first priority in Islam. And it has been told into Rawayat, in Laylatul Qadr, in Laylatul Qadr, do the best thing. So what is the best thing? Reading something. Learning from Quran. Learning from Rasulullah. And learning from Ahlul Bayt's teaching. So the best thing scholars they do, they sit down and they study hard in those nights because they want to be a scholar. If we are high in the level of knowledge, if we are high in the level of understanding, then we are most helpful people to Quran, to the Rasul, and to Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wassalam. And this is the goal. There's a no doubt. There's a no doubt. Everything is after this. After knowledge, we have to go and work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a beautiful story I just remember from Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba salamullah alayhi. One night, in Ramadan nights, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba was in masjid and he was doing i'tikaf. You know i'tikaf, when you stay in masjid for 3 days or 7 days or 10 days and you do ibadah, you fast and you're not doing anything else. And if you break your i'tikaf, then you have to pray fine, and there's a kafara for it. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba was in masjid and he was doing i'tikaf. A person came to him and said, Yabna Rasulullah, O son of Rasulullah, I have debt and someone is asking money from me, but believe me, I don't have anything to pay him back. And now this brother has decided he's going to take me towards police. He's taking me to the police and I don't want to go to police. So can you do shifa'at of me? Can you do mediation for me and tell to this brother, I told you if I have something, I will return you. But I don't have anything, so I cannot return your money, your wealth. He was expecting from Imam that Imam is going to do this after his i'tikaf. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, he stood up right there. He put his amama on his head and he put his aba. He said, let's go. He said, Yabna Rasulullah, I don't want to break your i'tikaf. You are in i'tikaf. You cannot break your i'tikaf. You can do this after i'tikaf. I'm not in a hurry. Imam said, no, let's do it now. And he's trying to ask Imam, he's trying to convince Imam that it is not important now, it is not necessary, you don't have to break this i'tikaf for my need. Imam said, no, let's go. And then Imam replied to him, you know, my brother, helping out one mu'min is better than doing 9,000 years of worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my ibadat for 9,000 years is one taraf, one side, and helping out one brother is equal to 9,000 years of ibadah. And this is Islam. And this is Islam. And this is the teaching of Ahlul Bayt. And these are the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam. And how we are going to learn these things? The only source for learning this science is Quran and Sunnat Rasulullah and the Sunnat Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wassalam. This is what we learn from Ahlul Bayt. There's another hadith from Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba salamullah alayhi where he says, Man qara al-Quran kanat lahu da'watun mujabah imma mu'ajjalah wa imma mu'ajjalah. Anyone who recites Quran, when you recite Quran, you are going to have a hope into the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, do this good, do this good, do this good, and I will take care of you. And then you are going to hope in the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you are going to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are going to ask from Allah different things. Oh Allah, I want this for my parent, this is my husband, this is my wife, this thing for my children, this is my for neighbor, this is my friend. You're going to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Imam says, none of your dua is going to be astray. Every dua you do, you ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is going to be saved and kept by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you are going to be paid by Allah in this life, or if not in this life, definitely in another life. So your dua, make sure, my brothers and sisters, your dua is going to be listened by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether in this life or another life. If you are not going to be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life, then your dua is going to be kept as a credit for your eternal life. And that's why sometimes we see mu'mineen, they always do dua. And the best dua is when we ask good things for others, for our friends, for our family members, for those who know, for marhumeen, they are gone. We can do dua, we can recite salawat, we can ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessings. For all those mu'mineen, they are gone from this planet. They're gone. One night, Janab Rasulullah came to Janab Fatima Zahra salamun alayha, and she was about to sleep. Rasulullah said, oh my daughter Zahra, before you go to bed, do few things. And one of those things is, before you go, you have to please all other Anbiya. She said, how can I please all Anbiya, 124,000 Anbiya? How can I please all of them? She said, just, Rasulullah said, reply to Janab Zahra, when you recite salawat for all Anbiya, it is just like you have done something good to all Anbiya. And in return, they are going to do dua khair for you. And this is the best thing, this is what all we need. Otherwise, this dunya, I just remember this story. There was a billionaire in America, if I'm correct. His name was Andrew Carnegie, if I'm correct. Many years back I studied this story. This billionaire person, his name was Andrew Carnegie, one of the most wealthiest person in the planet. When he was dying, his servant was standing behind him. He asked from his servant, if God gives you another life, what would you like to be? And he was expecting his servant is going to tell him, I want to be like you, a billionaire. In reply, his servant said to him, I'm ready to be everything other than you. I don't want to be like you. Isn't it beautiful? This servant knows this person very closely. We don't know what he has seen from his life, from his master's life. But his response was to him, I am ready to be everything but not you. So even if we become the billionaires or millionaires, or we control and we have all this dunya, we have to leave this dunya. And when we are going to leave this dunya, we are going to be asked from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what we have done in our life, in this life. Well, we are ready to list a lot long things. We have done this and we have done this and we have done this. And if those deeds are not sincere, 100% for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there was nafs. There was my ego, there was my name, there was my brand. And if there is that, or those deeds are not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it's not going to be counted as sincere deeds. So we are going to lack things. For that we have to prepare from this life. We have to prepare from now how we are going to take things with us for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is going to get us credentials to be with awliya. To be with awliya. And this is the only way. Dua is one of the best ibadah. Without doing anything, we can always perform it. You're just moving, driving car, you're just walking on the roads, you're working some job. And if your mind is not busy with doing something, you can use your mind, your presence of mind, to do dua for awliya, for mu'mineen, for your family, for your friends, for community, for everything. And your dua is always going to be saved. Another hadith from Imam Hassan Mujtaba Salamullah alayhi, where he says, Man salla fa jalisa fi musallah ila tulu'i shams kana lahu sitran min an-nar. Ramadan nights are the most important nights. During the other nights in year, or among the other nights in year, Imam Hassan is saying, if someone prays Salat al-Subh, the morning prayer in the month of Ramadan, and you do not sleep, you stay awake until the sun rise, until this time. If you stay awake, this awakening, this waking up is going to be a barrier between you and fire in the day of Qiyamah. We don't know how it's going to happen. But all I can say, when Ahlul Bayt say something, they really mean it. If they say something, they know something. And this is the recommendation of Imam Baqir, Imam Hassan Mujtaba Salamullah alayhi. When you pray Salat al-Subh, and you stay awake until the sunrise time. And this awakening is going to be a barrier between you and, this is not only for Ramadan. This is not only for Ramadan nights. No, this is forever. Whenever you stay awake, that is going to be a shade, a barrier between you and the hellfire, inshallah ta'ala. What if we stay awake in the night of Ramadan? We stay awake. When we pray Salat al-Subh, we don't sleep. We stay awake. And that is going to be a barrier between us and we have to learn something from Ahlul Bayt. Quran is here to give us, sometimes we think Quran is only book of thawab, a book of barakah, we just keep it in our home. No, this is not. Quran is the book of values. The values will lived based upon those values. This is Quran, the bunch of values, the compilation of values. Quran says, فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْ مَنْ تَوَلَّ عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا وَلَمْ يُرِدْ إِلَّا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. Quran says, O mu'mineen, O my Nabi first of all, Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt, and then all mu'mineen, stay away from those, فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْ مَنْ تَوَلَّ عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا. Stay away from those, they are not remembering me. And they have turned their faces away from me. They're a group of people, they're always busy with their dunya life, with their worldly life. And even though they do not think of Quran and Rasul and Ahlul Bayt, then nothing, 0%. Quran says to Rasulullah, stay away from them. If they do not remember me, leave them alone and don't be with them. فَأَعْرِضْ عَمَّنْ تَوَلَّ عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا وَلَمْ يُرِدْ إِلَّا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. There are a group of people that just want only hayat dunya, the worldly life, and the lust of this life, and the pleasure of this life. And they do not care anything about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing. Quran says directly orders to Rasulullah, well, if this is the order to Rasulullah, this is the order to Ahlul Bayt, and this is the order to all followers of Ahlul Bayt. It says, أَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ. Turn your face back from them. Do not go, do not be with them. If they are disconnected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they do not care about Allah, you shouldn't stay with them, and then you leave them alone and don't be with them. ذَلِكَ مَبْلَغُهُمْ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ. They wanted science, they wanted to become PhDs and masters and scholars in physics and chemistry and history, and this is they wanted from their ilm. This was their demand from their ilm, to stay away from Allah, to remain away from Allah, stay behind from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quranic values and the words of Allah. The order to mu'minin is, leave them alone. If they want to stay with their ilm and base their ilm and knowledge, they want to stay away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you better leave them and turn your face away. Inna rabbaka huwa a'lamu biman dhalla an sabilih wa huwa a'lamu biman ihtada. But mu'minin, you cannot decide who is guided and who is not guided. Allah knows better who is guided and who is not guided. You better, if you see someone who is not related with Quran, leave them alone. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam in khutbah, in sermon number 28, he says, all I'm worried about you, my followers, is that at the end, you might go behind your desires. And this is all I'm worried about is this issue. I don't want that you go behind your desires and be the man of desires. I don't want that. And people of dunya, people of desire, we have in hadith, there's a no end of greediness for two groups of people. One, people of knowledge. They want knowledge, there's no end for them. They just want it and they want it. They want to keep going behind the knowledge, and there's no end for knowledge. And the other group, people, they are behind wealth of this dunya, there is no end. Quran gives a very beautiful example in Surah Qasas, ayah number 79. Quran says, these people of dunya, people of desires, they say, Ya layta lana misla ma utiya Qarun. Oh Allah, I wish I would have what Qarun used to have. There's no end for these kind of people. They want to become more, they want to have more wealth and more wealth and more wealth, and at the end they demand from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I wish I would be like Qarun. Some of people, they say, Ya laytani kuntu turaba. I wish I would be soil, I would be clay. Why this at the day of Qiyamah they are going to say it? Why they're going to say, oh Allah, I wish I would be clay? You know why? Because they had no benefit for any other human in this life. And they wish they would be clay in this life. Clay, if you give clay, 1 grain, clay is going to return you, soil is going to return you a bunch of grain. If you put 1 piece of wheat in soil, 1 piece of rice in grain, in soil, this soil is going to return you a bunch of rice, a bunch of wheat. At least something. And these people, they lived with the worldly desires in this life. In the day of Qiyamah, they're going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, I wish I would be clay or soil in this life. At least I could have some benefit to others. But they lived only for themselves, only for their own benefits. They are not going to get anything. Some of them, they are going to say, Ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati. I wish I could send something for the akhirah. This is they are going to say. Some people, they are going to say in Qiyamah, Ya laytani nuraddu wa la nukadhib. I wish we could return to this life and we could not deny these things we did deny in the life. Some people, they are going to say, Ya laytani ittakhastu ma rasul sabila. Oh Allah, I wish I could go back and I would take my path of living with Rasulullah. Inshallah, we don't want to be losers. We don't want to be people like those they are going to regret in the day of Qiyamah. May Allah give us tawfiq to follow the path of Quran, inshallah ta'ala. Oh Allah, please give us tawfiq to follow the path of Rasulullah. Oh Allah, give us tawfiq to follow the path of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. Oh Allah, please give us tawfiq to serve our Imam in a very best way, inshallah ta'ala. Wa akhiru ta'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.